Fisher Incorporated is evaluating the benefits of investing in a new industrial printer. The printer will cost $28,000 and increase after-tax cash flows by $7,000 during each of the next 4 years and $6,000 in each of the 2 years after that. The internal rate of return of the printer project is closest to what? Now, first of all, let me lay down the working how you will put it in your financial calculator. First of all, you need to write down your cash flows at year 0, negative 28,000. You will enter, I'll show you the whole working, and press the down arrow key. Then you enter the second year's cash flow, enter the down arrow key. How many cash flows do we have for $7,000? 4 years. So frequency of $7,000 is 4 years. So we write 4, we enter, press the down arrow key. Then we have $6,000 cash flow coming after 7,000 the next 2 years. We'll press enter, down arrow key, and the frequency of 6,000 is 2. We press enter again and down arrow key. Once all the data is entered in your financial calculator, you will press IRR key followed by compute. Let me show you how it works. Alright, so this is your financial calculator, fully functional. First you will enter or press CF sign. Then you will enter 28,000, that is 2. It will take time, but you'll have to make sure you understand the concept. 28, 28, 0, 0, 0. And don't forget to put the negative sign because it's an outflow at the year 0, right? After this, you need to press enter and the down arrow key, just in the same sequence I've written. Then next, cash flow in year 1 is $7,000. Enter 7, 0, 0, 0. Press enter in the same sequence. Press down arrow key. Now, since there are 4 cash flows of $7,000 for the next 4 years, so you will have to press 4, enter, down arrow key, done. Now the cash flow for the next after that, 7,000 is done. Now 6,000, 6, 0, 0, 0, enter, down arrow key. Now what's the frequency of the second cash flow? 2. Press 2, press enter, press the down arrow key, you're done. Now you simply press the IRR and press compute. 11.61, so that makes A to be the correct option. So 11.6 is your answer, and that's the option A. Next, a company is considering the purchase of a copier that cost $5,000. Assume a cost of capital 10% and the following cash flow schedule. We have a cash flow at the end of year 1, $3,000. Cash flow at the end of year 2, $2,000. Cash flow at the end of year 3, $2,000. First, you need to lay down how you will enter the data. Once you become expert, you'll just simply, you don't even look at the calculator. You simply enter the numbers and tuck, 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 you get your result. But since you are just beginning, so you have to be a little slow, and then you go accordingly. Cash flow at year 0 is an outflow, $5,000. You press the enter sign, down arrow key. This is the cash flow at the year 0. That is the initial investment. Then the next cash flow will come for the year 1. At the end of year 1, that is 3,000. You will enter 3,000. Press the enter sign, the down arrow key. Since 3,000 has just single frequency, it's just once. So you will simply enter this down arrow key again. That's important. Then the system will take you to the next cash flow after that, the cash flow in year 2. You will enter 2,000. You will enter this, press this sign, press the down arrow key. The system will ask you how many 2,000s do we have. In year 2 and 3, you can either write 2 or you can simply enter and take this 2000 cash flow at the end of year 3 as well. You can either write here 2, enter and down arrow key, or you can just take this 2000 as the third year cash flow. It will work both ways. So once it's entered all the data, you will simply press NPV sign. You will be asked to write the interest rate, the discount rate that will be used to evaluate the projects. I think it's given here 10%. You will enter 10, press the enter sign, press the down arrow key, and you will simply press CPT. It will calculate the NPV for you. Since we are required to find the IRR as well, since all the data has been entered in the tables in your calculator, you will simply press IRR and press CPT. So let us do it. First, you need to clear the table first, CF second, that's clear work. Now the system is back to 0. You need to press CF, this is already pressed. You need to write 5000, 5000. Since it's an initial outflow, you need to press the negative sign. Press the enter sign, enter key, press the down arrow key. Now this is entered. You're in the next line now. Next cash flow in the next second year is 3000, 3000. Enter. Down arrow key. How many 3000 do we have? What's the frequency? 1 only. Simply press the down arrow key again. Cash flow for the second year. 2000. Enter. Down arrow key. How many 2000 do we have? 2. We can write 2. We can enter 2. Then we don't need to enter the third year cash flow. But let's say take it at a single cash flow at the end of year 2. Enter the down arrow key again. Now you need to put the third year cash flow, that is 2000 again. 2000. Enter. First arrow. What's the frequency? Just 1. Press this down arrow key again. All these cash flows have been entered. Press the NPV button. Now you need to enter the interest rate, the discount rate that's used in NPV computations. 10. Enter. Down arrow key and press the CPT sign. Here we go. You got your NPV, that is approximately $883, and that surely makes either A or B to be the correct option. Let us calculate the IRR. You simply need to press the IRR button. IRR CPT, that's 20.64. That makes A to be the correct. Again, a computational question. Which of the following statements about the internal rate of return for a project with the following cash flows pattern is correct? What you will do again, there is a cash outflow to your 0, negative 2000. You enter in the calculator, press the down arrow key. The next year cash flow is $10,000. You enter the sign, then the down arrow key. Since it's a single cash flow, single frequency, you simply press the down arrow key again. Negative 10,000. Enter. Down arrow. Frequency is 1. You press this down arrow key again, and you simply press the IRR followed by CPT. That's all. Let's do it. So the initial outflow is $2,000. That is 2000. Negative. Enter. Down arrow key. Now it's in the system. Next. Cash flow in year 1. 10,000. 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Enter. Down arrow key twice because a single cash flow, frequency is 1. Done. Next we have the second year cash flow, negative 10,000. You write 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. You press the negative sign indicating it's an outflow at the end of year 2. You press enter. Since it's a single cash flow, you press the down arrow key twice. All done. Now you press IRR and simply press CPT. 38.19. Do not jump wildly and select option B. Why? Yes, IRR is 38, but remember, whenever a project has unconventional cash flows, what is conventional cash flow? Outflow in year 0, inflow in the later periods. That's the conventional cash flow of projects. Unconventional cash flow means cash flows positive in some year, negative in the other years, just like in this 2,000 is the initial investment, 10,000 is the cash flow positive at the end of year 1, and then 10,000 negative at the end of year 2. Means it's an unconventional project with unconventional cash flows, so it won't have a single IRR. It will have two IRRs. Why? Because cash flows change direction twice in the project, so it will have two IRRs. One of them is 38, which your calculator has calculated. The other is 260. So that makes A to be the correct option. And A it is. Here we go. The two projects being considered by a firm are mutually exclusive and have the following projected cash flows. Project 1 requires an initial investment of -4 in million or thousand, whatever. It's just -$4. And you will receive $1 at the end of year, $3 at the end of year 1, $5 and 2 year at the end of year 2 and 3 respectively. For the second project, we have not been given the initial outflow, but we do have inflows in year 1, 2 and 3. The crossover rate of the project's NPV profile is 9%. Crossover rate is the rate at which the NPV of the both project is the same. This is the rate, whatever it is, 7.8. This is extracted from CMA Part 2, Section E, Investment Decisions. This is the rate at which the NPV for both projects is the same. So this rate, the rate at which the NPV for the two projects is the same, is called the crossover rate. That is 9%. Now, the interesting question, and I would say a challenging one as well, requires more working. What is the initial cash flow for the project 2? We need to find the initial cash flow. So what we will do, first we'll find the NPV of project 1, because at 9% NPV of both the project is the same. So what we will do are starting the same working, cash flow to year 0, we'll enter -4, enter down arrow key. Next year cash flow +3, enter down arrow key twice, because 3 is just once, frequency is 1. So you'll simply enter the down arrow key, system will take 1 as default. $5 inflow at the end of year 2, enter double arrow, means it's just once, frequency is 1. And lastly, in year 3, cash flow is +2, enter double arrow key, and finally, in order to calculate the NPV, you will press NPV. The discount rate is 9%. You enter 9, enter sign, down arrow key, and then simply press CPT. Now let us write it down, all this in the financial calculator, and see what is the NPV. So cash flow at year 0 is 4 negative, enter down arrow key. Cash flow for year 1 is 3, enter, and down arrow key twice, because it's single cash flow, down. Cash flow for year 2, 5, enter, down arrow key twice, because the single cash flow, down arrow key once, twice. Cash flow for year 3 is 2, enter, down arrow key once, down arrow key 2. Press NPV. You need to give the rate. The crossover rate is 9%. Enter 9. Enter it in the sheet. Down arrow key and press CPT. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. It's 4505. It is 4505. 4.05. It's a point. All the numbers are less than 10. So it's 4.5051. This is the NPV of your project 1. What to do now? Since it said that it's a crossover rate, at this rate, the NPV of the project 1 and NPV of the project 2, they will both be same, and this is the NPV. Since we do not have the initial investment, let us assume this to be a zero sum. Let's now put the working cash flow at year 0. We do not have any number for the initial investment. Put 0. Enter. Down arrow key. Next year cash flow is 1.7. 1.7. Enter. Down arrow key once. Since it's a single cash flow, down arrow key again. 3.2. Enter. Down arrow key again. And last 5.8. Down arrow, enter, down arrow key, down arrow key. Since we already have the discount rate, simply press NPV, 9% crossover rate, enter, down arrow key, and CPT. It will give you the NPV, assuming there is no initial investment in the project. All right, so cash flow for year 0 is 0, assuming it's 0. 0, enter, down arrow key. Cash flow for year 1, 1.7, 1.7. Enter, down arrow key twice because it's just a single cash flow. Then 3.2, 3.2, enter, down arrow key twice because it's a single cash flow. Then 5.8, 5.8, enter. Since it's a single cash flow, down arrow key twice, all entered. NPV, you need to provide the crossover rate given, 9, enter, down arrow key for the next line, and CPT. It's 8.7317. 8.7317. 8.7317. Now, this is interesting. We just said that as per the NPV profile, both these projects should have the same NPV. Since we haven't been given the initial investment, we have just taken the present value of inflows for this project. No initial investment, assuming 0 initial investment. Now, the point is, this is the NPV of project 1. The same NPV is for this project. We will calculate our initial investment for project 2 this way, writing down this formula. NPV for project 2 is 8.73 plus the initial investment made at the start of the project. Since NPV has to be 4.545 because it said that at 9% the crossover rate, both these projects have the same NPV, because at the crossover rate, 2 projects that are being analyzed, they will have the same NPV. So putting NPV at NPV2, that is 4.5051 is equal to 8.73 plus CFO. You make CFO the subject of the equation and you will get your result. Where is my conventional calculator? So it's 4.5051 less 8.73. It gives you negative 4.2249. So that's the initial investment negative sign for project 2, and that matches with the option C, and C it is. Lincoln Gold is planning a new coal mine which will cost $430,000 to build, with the expenditure occurring next year. This is interesting. This is not your initial investment. This is an outflow at the end of year 1. Not now, at the end of year 1. The mine will bring cash inflows of $200,000 annually over the subsequent 7 years. This cash flow will occur 7 times, frequency 7 times. It will then cost again $170,000 to close down the mine over the following year. It means this is the outflow after these 7 cash flows of $200,000 every year. Assume all cash flows occur at the end of the year. Alternatively, Lincoln Coal may choose to close or to sell the site today, what minimum price should Lincoln set on the property given 16% required rate of return? This is the investment at the end of year 1, CF1 outflow. This is what we will receive in the next subsequent 7 years, and this is the outflow at the end of the project when the mine is over. Assuming all cash flows occur at the end of the year, this is the normal assumption in NPV computations. Alternatively, if we don't go for the project, Lincoln Coal may choose to sell the site today. So what minimum price should Lincoln set on the property given a 16% required rate of return? It's an NPV computation. What if we want to sell? If we want to sell the price at this site, what should be the price? In other words, if we can calculate the NPV of this project, this would provide us the minimum cash that we need. So this could provide you as a basis to set the selling price. So we need to calculate the NPV. That will be the basis for price negotiation for selling the site. So what we will do, cash flow at year 0 is 0, enter 0, enter the sign, down arrow key. Then $430,000 is negative, enter the down arrow key twice because a single time cash flow occurring at the end of year 1. Then these $200,000 inflows, they are occurring 7 times. You enter the down arrow key, you enter 7, you press the enter sign and press the down arrow key again. Then the last cash flow is $170,000. The calculator will automatically point you to the year after that when these 7 cash flows of $200,000 end. So you'll press the enter sign and press the down arrow key twice, indicating it's just occurring once. Since the discount rate has been given as 16%, you will press NPV button. The calculator will prompt you to enter the discount rate, enter 16, press the enter sign, press the down arrow key, and press CPT. Press CPT, you'll get your NPV number. Let us put the numbers in the calculator. Okay, so entering the data first. Cash flow at year 0 is 0. Enter. Press the down arrow key. 430,000 negative. Enter. Since it's once only, press the down arrow key twice. Then 200,000 cash flow for year 2 onwards. Enter. Down arrow key. What's the frequency? 7. The cash flow is 7 times. Enter. Down arrow key. Now the cash flow in year, the next subsequent cash flows is 170. 170,000 negative. Enter. Press the down arrow key twice. Press NPV. Interest rate or the discount rate is 16. Enter, down arrow key, and press CPT. It's 289.13. That makes B to be the correct option, and as you can see, B it is.